Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. So the new list is dropped, and just when I had run out of stuff from Expo to play, how convenient. If you want my hot takery about the list, check out my previous video, but if you're here to see us jam a useless archetype based purely on hype, boy did you luck out. Today we're playing Qliphort Stun, so as always, let's jump into the list and see how it looks. So here's the deck, and if you're thinking, oh boy, that looks dirtily, don't worry, you're not alone. As always, I'll give you a little bit of background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Qli is a deck from Duelist Alliance, the pack heard around the world. It's famous for a lot of things, but the one thing it never really got credit for was being the first really good pendulum archetype. Now it's been good in several different iterations, one that spammed the board very quickly, one that assembled Qliphort towers in a World Sans Kaiju, and most recently a Demise build that was very popular at the 2015 NAWCQ, despite failing to show up in the top 32. Since then, however, its grave has been repeatedly desecrated by the necessity of hand traps nullifying any chance at playing Demise, by Master Rule 4 preventing the old set 5 and pass, and by the slow increase in resilience of all the other top tier decks. Until now! The ban list, of course, did a couple of things for Qli. It put Sacrifice to 3, it unbanned towers, but there's two much more important things that I'm interested in. It slowed the meta down, and it set the secretly best Qli card, Torrential Tribute, back to 3. I'm aiming to take Qli back to its 2015 roots and play a slow, control-oriented style of gameplay where we try to torrential the board every turn and bring our cards back through pendulum summons. Also released in Expo is Qliphort Genius, the Qli Link monster. Now in games where we'd have to get a free attack off about 6 times in a row in order to win, he can end the game in just 2 turns. Finally, since hand traps are at a premium and evenly matched is kind of like Regeki, we're throwing in the towel and playing 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Ogre, and 3 evenly matched. Since that cuts Desires right out, we have opted for a medium-sized Spellbook engine as our draw combo of choice. Hopefully we can leverage these incredibly powerful cards against the neutered format and overwhelm our opponent with vanilla 1800 attack monsters. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First is our vanillas, 1 Qliphort Monolith and 1 Qliphort Cosmic Cyclone. Scout. After that is our 1-2 Tribute Monster, 2 Tribute Qlis, of course, much worse under Master Rule 4. This one's utility is just a little bit too good, Qliphort Stealth. We're playing 3 copies of Helix and 3 copies of Carrier because they're the most easily summonable, and no other Qli. For hand traps, we have 3 copies of Ash Blossom and 2 Ghost Ogre. I think I like Ash Blossom just a little bit more. You'll want to be ending the turn with this deck, and then 2 Blue Boys. For spells, we have 1 Regeki, 1 Dark Hole, 2 Spellbook of Knowledge, 2 Spellbook of Secrets, 3 Summoner's Art, and 1 Sacrifice. Unfortunately, I think we're just not playing enough Qlis for it to be good as anything but a one-of. For traps, we have 3 evenly matched, 2 Duster, gotta get those 2-for-1s, 3 Torrential Tribute, 1 Imperial Order, 1 Skill Drain, 2 Solemn Strike, a Solemn Judgment, and boy does that feel good to say, and a Solemn Warning. In the extra, we've got 3 Qliphort Genius, and there's no reason to play anything else, because of course we can't special summon it as long as we have a Pendulum monster in our zone. So with that, let's jump into the games. So our first match is up against Artifact. In case you were concerned I was the only one trying to capitalize on ban list hype, our opponent is playing a very interesting deck with Card of Demise, so I guess we'll get to see who plays the better back row. They get to go first. They'll start by activating this Pot of Duality, finding themselves an Artifact Caduceus, the Maxi of the Artifact tribe, setting for activating Card of Demise and discarding 2 Scythes. I'm feeling pretty good about that, except I realize all it really does is turn on all of their Call of the Haunteds. We're going through the Spellbook motions. We're going to set the Secrets at the end of our turn, along with 4 others, trying to bait out some sort of Spell and Trap Destruction. We do see the Duster, and unfortunately it does hit relevant stuff. They go into a Caduceus and a Scythe from Graveyard, drawing them a card, and things are looking a little bit grim for us. They're going to go into their draw step, their main phase, and then immediately make Zenmei-O, which we have to Solemn Judgment. We just can't beat that card, especially with the cards we have set. We'll at end step use Heavy Dust Storm, very good against artifacts, and then normal summon a Qliphort Carrier. That's going to prompt the Artifact Scythe. We will then sacrifice our own card. They will chain a copy of Artifact Sanctum, then using the effect of Artifact Morale Tech will destroy our card, getting us a sacrifice activation and allowing us to get the scouts going. So we'll Regeki and then set this Torrential and hope that it is just enough. We are at a pretty low life total, but other than that, we're kind of in control of this game. We'll go ahead and activate the effect of Scout, get ourselves a copy of Helix, Pendulum Summon 1, then normal summon the Helix, set the Skill Drain, and pass it back. Now we should be able to kill our opponent in 1 turn next turn, provided we draw into something reasonable, so that we can flip up the Skill Drain, attack with a bunch of 2400s, and piece together a victory. Unfortunately, our opponent has a Call of the Haunted, which they will use to get a morale tech. We will chain a skill drain so it can't destroy anything on our side of the field, but still a blocker we're going to have to get over. We will pendulum summon 2 here, the stealth and the carrier, and start attacking. We'll get over for 700, 2400 directly, and 2400 directly, putting our opponent at a healthy 100 life points. Unfortunately, our opponent draws into a Heavy Storm Duster, which of course is quite good in artifacts. We're going to go to our combat step, start attacking, and here it is. They'll target their set card, which is a morale tech, as well as our skill drain. That permits them to destroy 1 card, but we can still assemble lethal. How's that for a game 1, huh? Our second match is up against Destrudo ABC, and the fundamental difference between Destrudo ABC and Plant ABC is that Destrudo ABC likes to set cards. Our opponent's going to start by setting 2, and then activating Terraforming, getting themselves a copy of Dragon's Ravine, since of course they did not find any ABC pieces. They're in on the Dragon Darkworm plan. We've drawn pretty well. We're going to start by normal summoning this copy of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, which gets ashed, and suddenly the rest of our hand looks a little worse. We're going to pass it back to our opponent. They draw into a Floodgate Trap Hole of all things, and then walk over our Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. We're going to set 1 Qli so our other Qli can get over the Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. Unfortunately, it gets Floodgate Trap Hold, like we're really playing Duel Links here, and we pass it back. Our opponent's going to draw into another piece of back row, and we're really going to see the back row battle of the Titans here after we draw into an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Fun fact, this girl has a large butt and can stall out the game against an 1800 attack monster for about 100 turns. We draw into a Torrential Tribute, and I'm feeling like we're in a pretty good space, despite the fact that we don't have control of the board and they have an active Dragon's Ravine, which they will use now to send a copy of Destrudo, targeting their copy of Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. I'm going to wait for the Synchro Summon before I do anything, and we draw into Summoner's Art, probably the best remaining card in our deck. We activate the effect of Qliphort Scout, and I'm shocked to see no Cosmic Cyclone. We'll get that Helix, get struck, normal summon the Carrier, get Warninged, and now they're down to 500 points of life. So things are looking pretty good for us. They're going to go ahead and set this copy of C, finally drawing ABC pieces. We've drawn a monster, so we'll go ahead and activate the effect of Scout to get ourselves another Qliphort, and then start attacking. We get over the Darkworm, which is good. Let's get that off the board. Nothing else on the board is particularly killable. They'll go ahead and set another ABC piece. We draw into another monster, which is great because we can normal summon it, activate our Torrential Tribute to blow up the entire board, and then get ourselves a copy of Spellbook of Secrets to our hand. We can discard that for knowledge, then pendulum summon 1 card, use Scout's effect to get another, and go to Battle Step. Alright, so it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta, but what is meta right now? I don't actually know. I think the only thing I'm comfortable calling meta is Trickstar, so let's load up a best of 3 versus them and see what happens. Our opponent's drawn exceptionally poorly for their first game. They don't have really any linear plays, but thankfully a Terraforming is really all Trickstar needs, and 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone stack up really well against us, a deck that really can't beat that card. They'll set 2 and pass. We don't have a particularly fast hand, so we'll go ahead and activate the effect of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, getting ourselves a Secrets and a Knowledge. Of course, that prompts the Draw and Lock Bird. We will set 3 and pass it back. Our opponent's going to Cosmic Cyclone 2 of our set cards, and I'm just praying they don't get both Torrentials. Thankfully, they don't. Sacrifice feels pretty bad to get banished, but feels a lot better than dying to Trickstar. They'll attack over our monster with Lilybell for a cool 300 points of damage, then pass it back to us. We thankfully have a Helix, so we can out this Lilybell, but can't really do much else. This struggling battle looking really bad in our hand. They draw into a copy of Solemn Warning, which is going to play a pretty pivotal part in this game, especially since I can't get over this Ghost Ogre unless I tribute it for a Monolith. Our opponent's going to pass back once more, and we will do just that, tributing our Helix for a Monolith, triggering the Solemn Warning, and then destroying the set card with our Helix. We don't get to get over it, but we do get the rest of the cards off their side of the board. They draw into another hand trap, and if we could just draw into a proactive play, we'd be fine, but we can't. They draw into a Solemn Strike, which is, you know, at least it's on board. We draw into a Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. We'll go ahead and get ourselves a copy of Secrets, draw a couple of cards, and what did we draw? Oh, good. More Ashes. Excellent. Just what we needed. Our opponent's going to activate the effect of Candina, finally drawing into a proactive play. We will Torrential Tribute, knowing they're going to get the spell, then Heavy Dust Storm both the spell and their back row. So they have a clear board. We just have to draw anything. They, of course, use the effect of Reincarnation so they can get in for 1800 points of damage, but thankfully we have no shortage of girls with 1800 defense butts in our hand. And another evenly matched off the top. What a pain. They go into an Eater of Millions off the top. Very excellent. Going to banish our set card. We'll wait on activating this evenly matched. I want to see if maybe they're going to set something in main phase 2. They don't, so we'll go ahead and activate it now. We don't have anything to do anyway. We draw into another Ash Blossom. I think that's the last remaining hand trap in our deck. They draw into another Eater of Millions, so they will execute the exact same play one more time, doing 1800 points of damage. This time I'm not waiting. I'm going to activate that evenly matched immediately. We draw into, Summoner's Art. Maybe now we can do something. We do get Draw Unlocked here, so we'll have to wait at least one turn, but I am in no hurry to take more damage off of Candina activations. Whew. They pass it back to us one more time. We're going to tribute for carrier and attack over, potentially? I'm not too keen on taking damage when I don't have to, so I'll just make my opponent have something before I activate the effect of Scout. They do set a card, so I'm going to use Scout's effect. They chain Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and I figure, great, this is my opportunity. I'll attack with stealth. It better not be someone with 1800 defense. It's not, and we win. Alright, so a long, excruciating game 1, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. Game 2 looks like it's going to be a battle to get anything to resolve. Our opponent's going first, of course. They'll go ahead and set 4 and pass. We draw into a copy of Sacrifice, and we will then set 4 and pass as well. Our opponent draws into a Candida, one of the better remaining draws in their deck. They will activate her effect. We will strike it, and here comes the Judgment. God, what a strong card. Okay, so they get the effect of Candida. Big whoop. We'll just go ahead and Ash Blossom this copy of... Oh my god. All right, there's another copy of Candida. They've played this matchup before and know there's no reason to even give us a chance to interact with something like Licorice. They'll go ahead and target, unfortunately for them, a Sacrifice. That gets us a Scout, and then in draw step, we will get Reincarnation. So we're going to have to make do with this hand. We normal summon this Carrier. They can't get over it, but they probably can when they activate the effect of Candida. They'll target our Imperial Order. We will chain it in response. That deals 200 damage to us off of Candida's passive effect. They'll go ahead and get a Lilybell, go into a copy of Holly Angel, Reincarnation back a Candida, triggering Holly Angel, putting her to 22. Afterwards, they will attack our monster. I'll flip my favorite battle trap, Skill Drain, strategically placed in my Pendulum Zone so they wouldn't dare target it with a light stage. We draw into a Judgment, and we're firmly in the driver's seat despite having almost 0 life points. Hopefully we don't accidentally die to this Imperial Order or something. We draw into another monster, which is one of the best draws remaining in our deck. We get to, at the very least, destroy their monsters, regardless of their 1800 defense points, because, of course, our monster's effects are negated. Our opponent's going to activate Monster Reborn, which is negated, Cosmic Cyclone, which is also negated, and then normal summon this Ash Blossom and concede. So we're back with the deck, and whoa, we did it! The big 3-0, wow. Those were interactive games, too. I really like this build of the deck. Now, I spent a couple of streams screwing around with various demise plans, and I gotta say, this felt better than all of them. Now, monsters these days, they just don't float. We don't need ways to out monsters outside of Torrential, we just need ways to prevent them from plussing when they're summoned, and Ash Blossom does a pretty good job of that. Now, don't get me wrong, the best thing for this deck would be to see Scout go to 2, but in the meantime, having pseudo-Scouts in Genius and really strong traps is almost as good. Now, I wouldn't call this a top-tier meta threat, but it's certainly one of the best decks I've tested for the new format. So that's that. Join me next week when I play... let me check. Change of Heart Tribal? I'm just kidding. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/monobluetron. And if you want to see me play a certain deck or archetype on a future episode of this show, let me know in the comments section below, and I'll do my best to accommodate you. Otherwise, I'll see you Monday.